So yeah, hi, Josh. I was wondering, you mentioned something about like the sense of a spectacle, and then you were talking about like the characters. There's an interesting balance in this movie between the action and the characters and the conflicts they have. For me, what's interesting, the dynamics between Iron Man and Captain America, and then it seems that it's not only like a question of method because one of the guys wants to attack immediately, the other one wants to prepare a plan. There's also some like kind of ideological things. When Iron Man says we're not soldiers, it's just he's rejecting this like maybe army notion that the other guy has because he's an old timer. So can you talk a little bit about how do you develop that part of the dynamics between these two characters, and if you were really willing to give it a little like touch of ideology, even if it's an entertaining movie?
Well, you have to write something that you believe in. Captain America was kind of my ground zero for this film, and the idea of someone who had been, in World War II, had seen people laying down their lives in the worst kind of circumstances, in a world where the idea of community and the idea of a man being somebody who is part of something as opposed to being isolated from or bigger than or more famous than it. It's a very different concept of manhood. And the way that it, in my opinion, has kind of devolved from Steve to Tony is kind of fascinating. I think you have to, obviously you're not going to stand around and speechify too much. I will a little bit, but the idea of the soldier, the idea of the person who's willing to lay down their life is very different than the idea of the superhero. And since I wanted to make, from the start, a war movie, I wanted to put these guys through more than they would be put through in a normal superhero movie. It was very important for me to build that concept and to have Tony reject that concept on every level so that, in the end, when he's really willing to make the sacrifice play, when he's willing to lay himself down on the wire, you get where he's come and how Steve has affected him.
We have time for just one last question.
Hi. Robert was saying that it wasn't fair that only Harry Dean Stanton could see Mark Ruffalo's naked. Well, it was a great surprise, but how did you come up with the idea to cast him in that role? How are you doing?
We had this. The love scene was cut, but I needed to get Banner from the horror of what he had done and almost killing Scarlet or Natasha, I should say, and to a place where he was prepared to go back into that state. And I thought a lot about it, and I was like, he needs somebody who will just accept him. And Seamus, our DP, was actually shooting a documentary about Harry Dean and was spending a lot of time with him. And I sort of got him stuck in my head, and I was like, who's more accepting than Harry Dean Stanton? And so I got to write this weird little scene, which when I wrote it was not little, it was about 12 pages long. And I was like, oh, this is great. Bruce Banner falls into a Coen Brothers movie. And the fact that they even let me keep that concept and that we actually landed Harry Dean to play it was very exciting. But the idea was to put him in a slightly surreal situation with somebody who clearly had no problem with what he was, just to get him, just to make that little transition without milking it too much. And besides, to work with Harry Dean and to quiz him about Alien and the Missouri breaks, what a privilege.